What do you think of the state of the UK right now?
It's abysmal. It's absolutely abysmal. Again, immigration is a wonderful thing when done properly. I'm an immigrant. Loads of my friends, in fact, almost all my friends from the UK are immigrants in one way or another. And immigration is a wonderful thing when done properly. But letting massive boats of people who we don't know who they are in from uneducated countries has resulted, I mean, rape in the UK is up 360% in the last 10 years. And they'll look at gentlemanly, stoic people like myself and say, his misogynistic ideas are why rape is, what? What you heard what I had to say about rape and consent and what should happen to rapists. What, it's up because of me, not because tens of thousands of people who we don't know who they are, who are all men, have landed on our shores like it's the bloody D-Day Normandy invasions. And nobody knows where these people are, where they kept or where they slept, or where they sleep. And rape is up. Well, that's very interesting. Everyone's stabbing each other. Everyone's being killed. Now, I lived in a time, to believe it or not, where when you had an argument with somebody, you used to fight with your hands, and you'd have your little fist fight, and that was it. And you both look at each other in school the next day with this angry face, and you both had black eyes, and nobody died. But now everyone's getting killed. Everyone's being stabbed. Is that music culture? Is it rap culture? I mean, there are factors that you could contribute to it, but the dude 3 days ago or 2 days ago who was running around London throwing acid in women's faces isn't some British guy who got in an argument with his girlfriend and threw acid in her face. It was a random dude who claimed asylum who no one knows where he's from. Like, the UK has just failed. They're not fixing the most basic issues. You can live as safe as you want in London. You can be in a penthouse suite at the finest hotel. That's where I stay. I can go shopping at Harrods. If I walk down on the street, even with, this is a moderately priced Rolex, and I start walking around, there's a good chance that someone's gonna put a knife through my heart and cut off my hand to take my watch. How insane is that? And then the mayor of London wants to cry about nonsense issues like the low emission zone cameras. The UK has failed, and it's truly tragic. Because the UK was the greatest country in the entire world, the greatest empire in the entire world. And anybody who argues, I have a question for them. What language are you listening to this podcast in? There's a reason why everyone in the entire world knows the language of England. We were the greatest country that ever existed. And it's really sad what's happened. It's really sad.
Where did it all go wrong?
That's a very interesting and tricky question that will upset some people with the answer, because there are historical answers that upset people. Answers like when we gave up the British Empire and started, giving autonomy back to these countries. I don't think that's where it all went wrong, because the Commonwealth was strong and the Commonwealth was good. I think it all went wrong when modern day people started apologizing and being told that they need to feel sorry for actions that happened hundreds of years before they were born. When we were told that we are no longer proud, and we no longer can be proud of being British or English. Can't even use that term. Makes you racist. Now, I have a unique perspective on this situation because I am the descendant of Irishmen, white Englishmen, and also African Americans who were trafficked in the transatlantic slave trade. That side of my family were slaves. I don't believe any living white man owes an apology to any living black man for things that happened way before they were born to people that they'll never know the names of. I think that is a sick concept. This idea that you are born with this generational guilt and you need to be sorry because in the early 1800s, some people starved to death in India. Millions of people, let's not belittle it. Millions of people starved to death in India because of some bad decision making by the British Empire. That is tragic. Would I want it to happen today? No. But you are not responsible, and I am not responsible, and the Indians who are living today are not victims of what happened. So it's the victim mindset, the victim mentality. Greatest empire in the world, did the most for the world than maybe any other country since maybe Rome and Greece. And you have to feel sorry for being British now. You're not allowed to be proud of yourself anymore. That's when it all went wrong. In the last 30 years, you're no longer allowed to be proud of where you come from and who you are. You must be ashamed. You especially, you're a white English man, you should be ashamed. In fact,
so privileged
you owe me money.
Why?
Hey, what do you mean why? Of course you owe me money. You owe me loads of money. My great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was probably living somewhere peacefully on the western coast of Africa, and the British took him and sent him to America. I'm damaged from the generational pains of slavery, and you as a white British man owe me money. Pay up. It's wild, isn't it?
But the political system surely is broken. It's not a democracy. It's not of the people, for the people. So, and does it not take a naive, delusional human to change?
Yes, it's not of the people, for the people. It's of the money, for the money. And that's the way it works in, I think, most political systems. Most democracies, it's all about the money. And I don't think countries like our country, you're British, of course, really have a chance of any radical change. I really see it, and I see that both parties are center, one center right, one center left. They're basically the same. They argue about tiny little minor differences in and of themselves, but I think money controls both parties. And in the United States and some other countries in the world, you can have a maverick who comes along with a new idea, a new way of doing things, a new way of saying things, and he can be swept into office from relative obscurity. Then he chooses the other people in charge. Systems like England are the scariest because, for all those watching who don't know this, the way that the UK elections work is there's hundreds of mini elections for each member of parliament, and then the party that wins the most seats in parliament gets to form a government, and then they select their prime minister from the people who are sitting in the house. So nobody can come along, anybody, and just say, I've got a new way of doing things, please vote for me. Vote for me where? Coventry South, Luton North? Then you're a member of parliament. You have no power. You're not directing the government. They're not going to form a government from you. So I look at, what people like Lawrence Fox are doing with the Reform Party and stuff, and I'm just thinking, I'd love, not because I necessarily adore what the Reform Party stand for, but I want new faces in our government, and I want new people sitting in those chairs. And I'd love the Reform Party to even find enough people to run in every single little local election in the first past the post system to absolutely, sweep the numbers, get 200 people sitting in the Houses of Parliament, and at least then we have a new way of doing things. But it can't happen if Lawrence Fox or any of these people running for the Reclaim Party, even Reform Party, even get their single seat, it's going to be Labour or Conservative who form the government, who have their prime minister, and there hasn't been a revolution in British politics since the invention of the Labour Party when they first came around. So it's scary and it's sad, and I don't think there's any way of fixing some countries. And England is most broken, to answer your question about is it broken. It's more broken in places like England than it is in the United States.